Welcome. Today is Wednesday, June 10th, and this is going to be a little bit of an update on the progress for Ikigenba. Ikigenba is a a harness for small business intelligence, I think is the way maybe I'll describe it. I don't know. We're gonna work on that. I think that the first thing to do is probably to do a really quick overview of where it's at today. So I will switch over to Miro for a quick second. So the basic idea, the basic hypothesis is that people will will do most of their interaction with their digital life through an agent. This will be a general purpose agent, whatever the future of Claude or ChatGPT look like, right? So today, you get the web interface, you get the desktop apps, and you get the CLI agents, and all of those would work, but they're going to converge over time, right? And so the big thing is people are going to have a preferred agent. One person might like anti-gravity, and another person might like GPT desktop, whatever the case may be. But the same thing is going to be true. They're going to connect their preferred agent to tools to the outside world so that they can interact with it. That'll be their calendar and their Gmail and these types of things. But especially when you start to move beyond an individual, and I fully expect that OpenAI and Anthropic, they're going to build a set of tools, especially OpenAI, where it's going to have your personal knowledge base and your personal connectors. But the thing that they're not offering up front is the same thing for a group of people for a small business. And this is what this is focused on, a small business. And even when they do start to do it for small businesses, you're still going to have specialized tools that are unique to that business that you want to pull up into accessibility to those general purpose harnesses, right? And so that is what Ikigenba is about. And the way that I am approaching that today is it is a suite of services. There are the core services, connectors, and apps. The core services that I've identified so far is that there is a dashboard. The dashboard is pretty basic, right? So as a business entry point, I don't know, it's going to have to, today, let's stick with what it does today. So today it lets me manage my individual personal access tokens, and visibility, gives me visibility into OAuth tokens that can be revoked, or grants that can be revoked. It gives me some information about how to install things. That's all it is. The entire real idea behind this whole setup is that it really is driven through your agent interface. And so this little bit of dashboard just helps to facilitate that initial hooking things up, right? That's really all it is. Okay, so that's what the dashboard is. Probably one of the most core other pieces is, well, eventually the most core piece is going to be the wiki. This is going to be the knowledge base. Everything that happens inside of this system is going to be recorded and become part of its memory and history that becomes searchable. There is the ability to do both deterministic and non-deterministic actions. So all of the services here, they are wired into an event bus. They can be triggered by an event, and they emit events. And so the common workflows that you're going to see is, you're going to create a Sunday night cron trigger that is going to trigger this particular prompt to run that might create a site, or like a little dashboard report or something. Or maybe it just triggers an email, or maybe it goes off. Maybe you have a nightly thing that goes off and does some grooming in your GitHub repositories. I don't know that a small business cares about the GitHub repository, but I do, and I also use this. Or maybe you have month-end events that you need to do in the ledger, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the basic idea. And you're going to see an example of how this all gets wired up very shortly. It's very simple. Wiki is the knowledge base. Prompts is non-deterministic, inference. The scripts are just what they sound like. They're the ability to create and run deterministic scripts. Sites, I just kind of mentioned, is kind of a way to build out static content that you can share. And cron is, it's just normal cron. It's, you can schedule it to, do, events at specific times or on specific frequencies. Connectors are just what they sound like. They are the things that connect your world to the other world. Now, they're slightly different than the connector that is in the App Store in ChatGPT, in the sense that they're aware of the environment that they live in, and they emit events that the other tools can use. So that's the difference there with the connectors. But realistically, any kind of connector to any kind of service could be here. You would want, in the future, these are things that were useful to me. But in the future, I would want to add, Google Drive, OneDrive, all the Office 365, the whole suite of things, Google Docs, and the whole suite of of tools that they provide there. Anything that you can imagine that's publicly out there, right? You're going to want to create a connector for. I mean, every individual or every individual business is going to have a unique set of connectors that they want to use. Apps. Today I have 2 example apps. There's the Ledger app and the CRM, but these are the things that are unique to a business. They are how a business stores information and deterministic compute attached to processing that information, right? And so one of the ideal goals here, though, is that this whole system is easy to extend. It largely will understand how to extend itself, even to the point of adding new services, new apps. Okay, that's a quick description of what the concept is. Now I just want to do a quick demonstration. So the first thing is that you need to wire. Okay, so all of the intelligence is going to be coming from my foreground agent, the one that you're watching me interact with. So, I need to wire it into Ikigenba, and the way that I do that today it's easy to do with the CLI agents, so Codex and Cloud Code. It's very easy to do. You can just run a little script and it will go out and it will install all the pieces. Potentially it could even install the skill set or something that would help support this. I have it today, and it exists for both Codex and for Cloud Code. I spent a couple hours last night trying to get this to work for anti-gravity, but my conclusion after doing that is that MCP is just flat out broken in anti-gravity CLI. I was able to import the tools, and it could see the tools. It could tell me they were there, and yet it couldn't use them. And I could never, even after a solid, couple hours of trying to debug it, it never did figure out why it couldn't use the tools. I mean, it came up with a number of reasons, and they were all wrong. None of them ever fixed anything. Okay, so Ikigenba is a suite of tools that all work together that your standard, normal, everyday agent has access to. And the easiest way to convey how or what this does is to just demonstrate it, right? So I'm going to say, create a prompt that generates a limerick and sends it to any new contact when we add them to the CRM. The limerick Okay, so the whole, I'm gonna open this up on the other side. So we got Claude library. It's Ikigenba skill. Okay, so I'm gonna move this down a little bit. I do have a very small skill that Claude loads in relation to Ikigenba, but 99% of what you're going to see over here is just it knowing that it needs to look at the tool descriptions and figure out how to do these things. So the skill basically is just saying, you know, one of the things I've been trying to figure out is how to make it understand when you're talking about Ikigenba. And so trying to make the language feel natural when you're talking to the agent. You're going to say things like add this to the CRM or add this contact. But it's very easy for some of these things, especially if you think about the prompting or, you know, the prompt or the agent that's online. That's very easy for it to confuse with itself or something else that's local. And so largely what this skill does is help disambiguate about when you're talking about the online service versus you know, when you're not, right? And so that's mostly what that is about. Okay, but what it did is, let's see what it says. It says it created a prompt named Welcome Limerick, wired it to the CRM's contact created event. So it did all the exploration to go figure out that there is a contact created event, that it can wire it to the CRM. It eventually had to figure out that it could use on its own, that it could use Gmail. I didn't even mention that it was Gmail it had to use, but it figured out Gmail is how it's going to send these. Okay, so let's, just out of curiosity, let's show me the user. So prompts is an online service. It is a catalog of prompts that can be run. When they run, the runs are ephemeral. They're sandboxed. It creates a folder. It starts up the agent, lets it run inside of that sandbox. It can store things in that sandbox, and etc. So you know, the prompt text itself actually lives in the database because because it might change. I might edit this prompt in the future, but the record of the one that ran is saved in its run folder, and then you give that whatever retention you want, right? Okay, so this is the actual. So now keep in mind this is the foreground Claude code. Opus, I'm pretty sure. Oh shit, we're using Fable. I'll just leave it there for a moment. This works equally. There's nothing special about Fable here. That's just a quirk of me having turned it on a little bit ago. This works just as well. I haven't tried it with Haiku, but it certainly works with Sonnet, which I have tried. But anyway, what it did is it just went and created this particular prompt. You were triggered because a new contact was added to the CRM. The triggering event is attached to as a JSON block in this message. So that's how both the prompt and the scripting works. Is that in the scripting side, it's making the artifacts available in the folder. In the prompt, what it does is it automatically just appends the blocks. Do the following. Pick a contact's primary email address from payload's email. The entry with primary true, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so write a fun, lighthearted welcome limerick for the contact. Send the limerick to the contact's email. Save a copy of the limerick in the folder. There's also a short system prompt alongside it. You're a friend. Oh, so the system, I have never. So this is whatever got created the day that I created the service. I've never tuned this system prompt yet. I hadn't. It's just worked, and I hadn't needed to. You're a friendly assistant that welcomes. Oh, so it built a custom system prompt. Okay, so it has the ability to have unique per prompts, system prompts. So the system prompt isn't particularly useful here. Happy to tweak the wording. Okay, so just to show this, then we're going to clear. So we're in a brand new session. It knows nothing about what happened. We're going to make sure that I have access to email. We have a empty inbox. If I come over here, sorry if I stay there, but go here and say, first let's list all the contacts in the CRM. I want to make sure that I'm not in there. I'm going to add myself to it. I'm pretty sure that I'm not, but let's take a look. So, nope, just a couple test entries. So add so this is going to, we're in a new session here. It doesn't know anything about us creating the prompt. This really is running off of the event system. So it's going to do a couple of calls to the CRM. It added, or just one call really. It added me, and then shortly after, there we go, the event system kicked off that prompt. That prompt ran. It made the call to the LLM, said, hey, let's generate a fellow named Michael dropped by with a spark in his step and his eye. We said, welcome, friend. This is just the beginning. And we threw out our best confetti sky high. Warmly the team. So this is, that was a pretty thin prompt we gave it to go build this. It had no problem doing it. Okay, so a little bit of a quick look into how this works. So what are all the tools that the CRM offers you? So I'm just going to take a look at the tool footprint that the CRM specifically is offering. There's one part that I want to show. But first I'll kind of give you an insight into, this is how the agent sees it, right? Because the first thing it sees is a list of MCPs. It can say, hey, what tools do those MCPs have, right? So this is the set of tools that it's offering up: search, get, save, etc. But you'll notice the really important one here is reflection. Show me what the reflection tool returns. This is what makes this. We're not building some agentic tool that knows how to do these things. That's the wrong way to say it. I'm not building an agent that knows how to do these things. I'm building tools that agents know how to use. And the whole reason for doing that is the agents, the LLMs, or the models are going to continue to progress at a rate that we can't keep up with. And so the only thing we really want to do is expose tools to those things. And that's really what this demonstration is trying to show you, is that we start to give these tools a system where they're wired up together and the events bounce around between them, and it knows how to use that system. That's the power, right? And then you can just kind of ad hoc build whatever you need. Okay, so this is the reflection. It's telling us all the different things that it can publish. So there's a contact created event, a contact updated event, contact tagged, contact untagged. That's all it is. So when I asked this thing with the original prompt to wire this stuff up, it had to come over here. It had to make the decision to come over here and check out the reflection, figure out what things could be done. Then it had to use the LLM interface on show me all that. So now we're going to look at all the tools that the prompt service offers. So, this agent, given the prompt, had to go look at the reflection on CRM. It had to go look at the tool list on prompts. It had to go look at the tool list on Gmail to understand all the things that it needed to be able to do. Oh, prompts also, of course, has the ability, it has the MCP that allows it to connect to any of the internals, right? And so, it comes over here and it looks at what the prompt service can do, and it figures out how to wire it up, and it does it. Okay. that's an example. That's a demonstration of pretty much the core thesis of the whole thing. It's now just expanding it, making it work, making more pieces work. Okay, one last thing I want to demonstrate real quick is sites, because it's another piece that is working well. Do some. This is probably. I'm gonna phrase it differently. We're going to create a digital version of the pen and paper hangman game. In hosted sites. It should randomly pick a word or phrase. It should allow the players to pick letters one at a time. It should either reveal the correct letter in the word. It should either reveal the letter in the word or phrase if it's correct, or add one more body segment to the hanged man. It should detect when the entire phrase is correctly revealed, or when the hanged man is completed, and show success and failure accordingly. It should have a reset button. Okay, so what I'm doing here is a little JavaScript app, and that's the point. Is sites is intended to be, I want to do a little interactive report or display that I'm going to use to present some information. That's really its primary purpose. And the idea here is that I can get it to spin up a little JavaScript app in hosted sites, and all I had to do is basically describe what I want. It's going to go out and it's going to create that site and present it to us, or give us the URL for it. It's not going to present it. I'll present it to you. Now, just kind of a random aside, one of the things I'll say is, I should have changed. We're cheating. We're still on Fable. But one of the things I will say is that the Anthropic models are clearly better at tool use than even GPT-5.5. This will work completely with GPT-5.5. I've never found something it can't do, but it is relatively verbose in the way that it uses tools. Maybe, the Anthropic tools are just as well in the background. It might just be a matter of the way that it's showing it to you, but I'm pretty confident that GPT-5.5 is making more tool calls to do the same work. In my experiments, it's completely anecdotal. I can't prove that. I should test it in the future. But okay, so it gave us a site all wired up, right? And so we have a phrase, and of course we start with the most common letters. So let's do okay, so you guys don't want to watch me play Hangman, but that's the idea. You can see what it did is it spun up. These are all. I don't have any way of giving them a top level domain name or anything like that. I don't think I ever will. But you can see what it does here is it has. See if I can get that. So it under Ikigenba, there are the different services. The site service has both public and private presentation space, and we created the Hangman slug that it put this under. It is just, it is, in this case, I'm certain it's, I didn't really want that. What I wanted was, in this case, yeah, I'm certain it's just a one page, one file, one HTML file. It actually can do a directory, but in most cases, this is what you'll want. Okay, so that is that. That's a pretty good demonstration of what the tools do today. As I kind of alluded to in the beginning, this works, it should work anywhere. It does work equally well you can see that all the same tools are loaded here, and it does work equally well here. I want to take a quick jump over to the Mac and take a look at what it's like to try and use this in the desktop apps right now. So let me do that, and then let me change what I'm seeing, which is that. You guys will probably get a little blip on the screen, but okay, so what I want to do here is take a look. I'm gonna kind of go full force here on this. I'm going to I've started. There are problems using the desktop app, even the Codex desktop app, with the MCPs. They seem not to know when to authenticate, and that's because there's some kind of confusion between how the app connects to the web configuration. I'll show this, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe out my whole Codex folder and all configuration related to it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to go to let's go to ChatGPT. Let's take a look at apps. And if I click here, okay, so we have no apps wired up. The way that you would do this, let me close that. Let me come here, so sign in here, so that I can see the information we need, right? And so I'm just going to connect the CRM so you can see this. But what we would need to do, is this is the only reliable way I've found it works for both the web app and it works for the desktop app. So a couple things. You need to have developer mode turned on to be able to add custom MCPs. So with that turned on, the thing to do is just to click on Create App. You're going to give it its name, and it's not tunnel, server URL is what we want. And so we paste in the URL, we say I understand under the scary banner, and create the custom app. Now, if you were going to make a commercial service out of this, which isn't really my goal is to make a open source project that people can pull down and use. You wouldn't have to deal with this, and this whole process probably changes in the future also, because everything is kind of immature at this point. But okay, so I've connected to the CRM. Now I need to auth to be able to use it. This is using the OAuth workflow, whereas with the what you were seeing at the CLIs, I was using a personal access token. But nonetheless, this is a little slow because it spins up some kind of like Lambda or something to go do this. But it's now connected, right? So I can go here and we can see that we're connected. Okay. That's done. I don't really need that anymore. What I did here was I completely reset local Codex CLI desktop. Local Codex desktop app I reset. Now with that reset and the MCP is properly connected in the web configuration. Oh, by the way, you could use that through the web configuration. It's just not as useful because you don't have local file access. I guess is the reason that I have this strong preference. So, but now if I come in and I connect to this app, so we'll skip. So now let's do this. Oh, one other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell it to use this project. What that did is bring in this same agents file that I have access to from the CLIs. Because the root of that projects file has an agents file, that folder, the root of that Ikigenba project has an agents file in it, so that automatically gets loaded anytime that we're working inside of Ikigenba. So now I can say show so it again will the difference of course here is that this is going to ask me a bunch of approvals, but I do think that if it does have YOLO mode or something akin to YOLO mode. That is interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to call it quits. Actually, let's do this. Let's go back to the thing I was trying to show is it's a little cumbersome, and that it didn't work at all is even more evidence of that. But I'm going to be a little more direct with this one. I'm guessing it's not going to work here too, and I don't know why, because we did authenticate. Oh, no, it did work. I don't know why it didn't work in Codex. The tools are rough. That's all I'll say about that. So I think that pretty well wraps up everything. It kind of shows the whole journey, right? So the idea is that you have a set of services, a suite of services that present your business, that anchors everything for your entity, your org, your business. And then it's just tools on your normal agents, and they go access those things. And you can see that the general purpose LLM models are so good. If you just give them a good description of the tools and the reflection, they can piece it all together. You don't have to do anything else. So it really is just a different way to write apps. You are writing them for the LLM first, right? Give it the reflection, give it the understanding of how the event bus works, and it does all the work for you. And after that, life becomes simpler because intelligence can do all the work for you. Okay, that got a little long-winded. I'm sorry, but that was a good little tour of Ikigenba. And in the next few days here, I am going to deviate from my original plan a little bit. Because Fable is out, I am going to do a very specific experiment. The wiki, or the knowledge base, is the real key component to this whole thing. The better that it's able to function, the more that it ties everything together. And we have access to Fable for 11 more days, I believe it is, before they start charging per token. And I am going to burn every last token I can from my max accounts to do a real stab at trying to build a state-of-the-art version of what this little knowledge base is supposed to be, scoped specifically for this small business space. And that will, I will do updates on that too, but I do think it's the most critical piece to really having a truly successful and unique, making Ikigenba kind of, really unique and fill a space. And so that's what I'm going to be working on. Okay. I will see you Friday. Have a really good day.